Okay, so have you heard about this thing, the Bilderberg Group? It's pretty wild stuff. We're going to deep dive into it today, this super exclusive club. It seems like it's got tons of conspiracy theories swirling around it, big moths to a flame. I mean, even the name itself, Bilderberg Group, sounds like something straight out of like a spy movie, right?
Yeah, it really is fascinating how much attention it gets, when they say they just want to foster dialogue between Europe and North America.
Right, foster dialogue. But behind closed doors, super secret. Come on. That's got to be an invitation for speculation at least, right?
At least.
So for those of you who haven't gone down this rabbit hole yet, let's just start with the basics. What is the Bilderberg Group, really?
So basically, it's an annual conference, invitation only, and it brings together, I don't know, around 120 to 150 of the most influential people in the world.
Oh, yeah,
From politics, business, finance, academia, you name it.
the real movers and shakers.
Yeah, exactly. High-ranking government officials, CEOs of huge companies, academics, even royalty sometimes. And they hold these meetings under the Chatham House rule. So basically, people can use the information they talk about, but they can't reveal who said what.
So it's like what happens at Bilderberg stays at Bilderberg.
Exactly. And that secrecy, of course, is what really gets people intrigued.
Okay, so we've got this super exclusive group, global elites, shouted in secrecy. I wonder people are trying to, like, connect the dots, coming up with theories about what's really going on in those meetings.
It's like a puzzle box. People want to see what's inside.
Right. And one of the biggest theories out there is that this Bilderberg Group is like a cabal of these global elites who are trying to create a new world order.
Right. So this theory says they want to, weaken national sovereignty and replacing with a central global authority, control everything from economics to politics to even culture.
So basically a one world government run by this tiny group of people. I mean, it sounds kind of out there, right? But hold on. What's the evidence that these theorists use?
Well, they usually point to the secrecy of the meeting, right? Obvious one. And the fact that these attendees are so powerful. And then they say, look, some of these people end up in super important positions later on.
Yeah, like they met in secret and bam, suddenly they're running the world.
Right, exactly.
I could see why people would think that's suspicious.
Yeah. And this theory really feeds into anxieties that people already have about globalization and power being concentrated in the hands of just a few. So for some, this theory is a simple way to explain what's going on in this complicated world.
So even if there's no hard proof, the idea of this group being in charge is enough to make people believe it.
Oh, absolutely. And, it's important to remember, just because two things happen around the same time doesn't mean one caused the other.
Yeah, good point. But let's dig into the specifics a little. What are some of the things this Bilderberg group is actually accused of doing to like bring about this new world order?
Well, the accusations, they range from like, manipulating financial markets around the world to controlling the media and even like orchestrating these major global events.
Whoa, hold on. Let's break that down like one by one here. So financial manipulation. What exactly are they saying the Bilderberg group is doing?
So some people, some theorists believe that the Bilderberg Group, they're using their influence to engineer economic crises.
Like what? Like the crash in 2008.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that, to benefit its members and basically advance this agenda that they have.
So they're not just like benefiting from these things happening, they're actually like making them happen. That's a pretty serious accusation. Like what evidence is there for that?
Well, they often point to, the fact that several prominent bankers and financiers, people who were at Bilderberg meetings in the years leading up to the crash, they later played, key roles in the government's response to the crisis.
Interesting. So the idea is that they like create the problem and then they're ready with the solution, which just so happens to benefit them.
Yeah, exactly. It's that classic conspiracy theory kind of trope, right? The hidden hand controlling things, behind the scenes.
Okay, I mean, yeah, I could see how that story would be pretty compelling. What about what was the other one? Oh yeah, the media control thing. How are they supposed to be like pulling that off?
So the theory goes that they're using their connections to media moguls, right? And like top journalists and things like that to basically shape what the public thinks and, suppress anyone who disagrees. It's like controlling the narrative.
Oh wow. So they're not just like influencing events, they're controlling what we think about them. It's like something out of a dystopian novel or something.
It really does sound like that, doesn't it? And, it taps into that very real concern about media consolidation and how powerful people influence, what we see in the news.
Right, because if you can control the information, you control how people see things, and if you control how people see things, you control, well, pretty much everything.
Exactly. Yeah. And that kind of leads into the accusations about them orchestrating these global events. That's one thing that get really interesting and a little harder to to kind of untangle.
Okay, okay, give it to me. Like, what kind of events are we talking about here?
Well, everything from wars and revolutions to assassinations, and even some theories say, like, the rise and fall of entire empires.
Hold on, hold on. So they're saying that this group is like responsible for starting wars and toppling governments. I mean, that's a whole other level of influence.
Yeah, it is. And, it's really important to be skeptical of these claims. Remember, we're talking about theories here, not proven facts or anything.
Right, right, of course. But it's hard not to be like a little bit intrigued about this stuff, especially when you think about how much power these people have.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's part of what makes conspiracy theories so compelling. They try to explain these really complicated things in a simple ways. They kind of tap into our fears and anxieties.
Okay, so we've got financial manipulation, media control, and like global puppet mastering. Is there anything else? I mean, how much deeper does this rabbit hole go?
Well, some theories, they go even further. They say the Bilderberg Group is involved in like making these advanced technologies for, surveillance and control, even things like mind control and social engineering.
Wait, are you serious? Mind control? That sounds like we've gone from like conspiracy theory to like straight up science fiction now.
It does, yeah, it does. But again, remember, these are just theories. There's no real proof to back them up.
Okay, okay, I got you. But let's play devil's advocate for a second. Say the Bilderberg Group is involved in all this stuff. Why? What's the point? What are they trying to do? All right, so we've spent the last two parts of this deep dive kind of laying out all these conspiracy theories around the Bilderberg Group. Financial manipulation, media control, like global puppet mastering, even dabbling in mind control. It's a lot, I know. And I bet some of you are thinking, okay, but why though? Like what's the end goal? What are they trying to do with all this?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And, well, according to most of these theories, it really comes down to one thing: power.
Power.
Like total, absolute power over the whole world.
A one-world government controlled by a select few. Classic conspiracy stuff, but I mean, it clearly resonates with people.
It really does. It tacks into that fear, of losing control, being manipulated by forces you don't understand, you can't influence.
Yeah, I get it. In a world where like everything's so complex and connected, where like a decision in some boardroom can affect the whole planet, it's easy to see why people would be afraid of that.
Absolutely. And whether or not you actually believe the Bilderberg Group is the source of all this, the fact that these theories are out there, it says something about like the anxieties we have right now as a society.
Okay, so we got the theories, the accusations, the supposed evidence. But let's like zoom out for a second. What are the effects of these beliefs? Even if we say, okay, maybe they're not all true.
Well, I think one of the most worrying parts is how it makes people distrust institutions. If you think everything is being controlled by this shadowy group, then why even bother with democracy? Why trust experts? Why trust any official information?
Right, because it all just becomes part of the conspiracy. And that kind of thinking makes people cynical, disillusioned, and then what? People just give up. They don't participate.
Exactly. And then it becomes almost impossible to actually talk about the important thing. If everyone's suspicious, thinking there's some secret agenda behind everything, then you can't find common ground. You can't work together to solve problems.
So even if the Bilderberg Group isn't pulling the strings, just the belief that they are can really mess things up. It causes mistrust, division. It stops us from dealing with the real problems that we have to face as a global community.
That's the real danger here, and it's why it's so important to think critically. We got to be able to like really look at information, figure out what's speculation and what's actual evidence, and know what our own biases are.
Yeah, because it's easy to get swept up in a good conspiracy theory. You start connecting the dots, you see patterns that maybe aren't even there. But we got to be careful. We can't let our imaginations, run away with us. We got to stick to facts, real evidence.
Exactly. And it's good to remember the world is complicated. Things don't usually have simple explanations. Trying to boil everything down to one big conspiracy, it's tempting, but it's usually oversimplifying things. And then you just end up with more questions.
So where does that leave us? We've looked at the theories, what we're accused of, the possible consequences. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to each person to decide what they believe.
Right. We've presented the information, we've analyzed the arguments. Now it's up to you to, look at the evidence and come to your own conclusions.
And that's what's so cool about a deep dive like this. We're not telling you what to think. We're just giving you the tools, the information, so you can think for yourself.
So as you, keep learning about the Bilderberg Group and other groups like it, keep an open mind, but be critical too. Don't just accept everything you hear.
Yeah, ask questions, challenge assumptions, get different perspectives. Because the truth is out there, as they say. somewhere.
And that journey to find it, it's usually more interesting than the truth itself.
Well said. Well, I think that's about it for our deep dive into the mysterious Bilderberg Group. Thanks for joining us. And as always, keep exploring.